You want to know what 24 years of marriage looks like? It's not flowers and anniversary dinners. It's thousands of invisible sacrifices. It's building someone's dream while quietly putting your own in a box labeled someday. And then watching him throw you away the moment he doesn't need you anymore. My name is Laura Mitchell. And I need to tell you about the day my husband asked for a divorce. Because that day changed everything. That day showed me who I'd really been married to all along. But to understand that day, you need to understand the 24 years that came before it. I met David when I was 22 years old, junior year at State University. I was studying accounting with a minor in business. I was good at it. Really good. Had a job lined up at a mid-size firm before I even graduated. My professors said I had a bright future. David was pre-law. Brilliant. Charming. Ambitious. He had this way of talking about his future like it was already written. Like he could see himself in a corner office, arguing cases, changing the world. We fell in love fast. That whirlwind kind of love where you can't imagine your life without the other person. He proposed the day we both graduated. On the steps of the library where we'd met. I said yes without hesitation. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. We couldn't afford anything fancy. David was starting law school in the fall. I was starting my job at Peterson and Associates. That's when the sacrifices started. Small ones at first. David's law school was expensive. Even with loans, we were struggling. My salary covered our rent, food, utilities. But there was never anything left over. David couldn't work, law school was too demanding. So I picked up extra bookkeeping clients on the side. Worked nights and weekends balancing books for small businesses. I was tired all the time. But it was okay. We were building something. Together. 3 years of law school. 3 years of me working 60-hour weeks while David studied. 3 years of eating cheap pasta and skipping vacations and driving a car that broke down twice a month. But we made it. David graduated top 15% of his class. Passed the bar on his first try. Got hired at Morrison & Hale, a prestigious firm in the city. We celebrated that night. Cheap champagne in our tiny apartment. David held me and said, I couldn't have done this without you, Laura. Everything I accomplish, it's because of you. We're a team. We're a team. I held on to those words for 24 years. Before we go any further into this, I just want to say, if you feel a connection to these stories, a small click on that like button and subscribe would mean more to me than you know. It lets me know I'm not just speaking into the void, that you're really here with me. Alright, let's continue. A year after David started at the firm, I got pregnant with our first child. Emma. Beautiful, perfect Emma. David was working insane hours. 70, 80 hours a week, trying to make partner track. So I quit my job at Peterson and Associates. It made sense. Childcare would cost almost as much as I was making anyway. And someone needed to be home. I told myself it was temporary. Just until Emma was in school. Then I'd go back to accounting. Build my career. Have my turn. Emma was 2 when I got pregnant with Jake. Then Maya came 3 years after that. 3 kids in 6 years. My career plans went into a drawer. Then into a box. Then into the back of a closet I stopped opening. But I didn't mind. Not really. I loved my kids. I loved being there for every milestone. Every scraped knee. Every school play. And David was doing so well. Making good money. We bought a house in a nice neighborhood. 4 bedrooms. Good schools. A backyard for the kids. He made junior partner when Emma was 8. We celebrated with a dinner out. Just the 2 of us. My mom watched the kids. David held my hand across the table. We did it, Laura. All those years of struggle. It was worth it. We did it. He said we. Like it was a team effort. Like my contributions mattered as much as his. I believed him. When Jake started middle school, I went back to work. Part-time. David's firm needed a bookkeeper. The previous one had retired. David suggested me for the position. You're overqualified, he said. But it's perfect. Flexible hours. You can still be there for the kids. And it keeps your skills sharp. So I became the bookkeeper for Morrison & Hale. 20 hours a week. Handling accounts payable and receivable. Payroll. Financial reports. All the behind-the-scenes work that kept the firm running. I was good at it. The partners appreciated me. I caught discrepancies. I saved them money. I was efficient and thorough. But I was still just the part-time bookkeeper. David's wife who helped out around the office. David made full partner when Emma was in high school. His name went on the door. Morrison, Hale and Mitchell. He was so proud. We all were. The kids threw him a surprise party. I made his favorite dinner. We took a family photo with the office sign that I still have somewhere. That was 15 years ago. 15 years of David as a named partner. 15 years of him making $300,000 plus a year. 15 years of our life getting more and more comfortable. We paid off the house 5 years ago. Took nice vacations. Put all 3 kids through college with no student loans. Built retirement accounts. Savings. Investments. We had made it. After all those years of struggle, we'd actually made it. The kids grew up. Emma became a teacher. Jake went into business. Maya was finishing her senior year at college. She was graduating in 2 weeks. We were planning a big celebration. The whole family coming together. I was 46 years old. David was 48. We'd been married 24 years. Our whole adult lives. I thought we were happy. I thought we'd spend the rest of our lives together. Retirement. Grandkids someday. Growing old together. I was so incredibly naive. It was a Tuesday evening in April. Nothing special about the day. I'd made dinner. Chicken parmesan. David's favorite. He'd texted saying he'd be home by 7. He walked in at 7:15. Loosened his tie. Didn't kiss me hello like he usually did. Laura, we need to talk. 5 words. That's all it took for my world to start crumbling. What's wrong? I asked. Did something happen at work? No. Work's fine. This is about us. He sat down at the kitchen table. Wouldn't meet my eyes. David, you're scaring me. What's going on? He took a deep breath. I want a divorce. The room spun. I actually gripped the counter to steady myself. What? I want a divorce, Laura. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for years. Years. He said years. I don't understand. What do you mean you're not happy? We're good. We're fine. The kids are doing well. We just planned Maya's graduation. That's the problem. It's always about the kids. About the house. About routines and obligations. When was the last time we did anything spontaneous? When was the last time we really talked? I stared at him. This man I'd known for over half my life. This stranger sitting at my kitchen table. David, if you're unhappy, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can take a trip. Just the 2 of us. We can. I don't want to fix this. His voice was flat, final. I want a divorce. Is there someone else? The pause before he answered told me everything. That's not what this is about. That's not an answer. Laura, please. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Harder than it needs to be. Like he was inconvenienced. Like I was being difficult. How long? My voice was shaking. How long have you been planning this? Does it matter? Yes. It matters. We've been married 24 years. I deserve to know when you decided our marriage was over. He stood up. Walked to the window. Looked out at the backyard where our kids had grown up. I've already talked to a lawyer. Filed the papers. You'll be served tomorrow. Filed the papers. Past tense. He'd already done it. You filed for divorce without even talking to me first? I'm talking to you now. No, you're informing me. That's different. He turned to face me. And for the first time I saw it. The coldness in his eyes. The distance. Like I was a problem he needed to solve. Not the woman he'd spent his entire adult life with. I've already moved some of my things out. I rented an apartment downtown. I'll come back this weekend to get the rest. Already moved out. Already rented an apartment. How long have you been planning this, David? Laura. How long? A few months. A few months. While I was planning Maya's graduation party. While I was cooking his favorite dinners. While I was sleeping next to him every night. He'd been planning to leave me. What am I supposed to tell the kids? We'll tell them together. That we grew apart. That sometimes people change. That this is for the best. For the best? Destroying our family is for the best? We're not destroying anything. We're just evolving. The kids are adults now. They'll understand. Evolving. Like our marriage was some kind of failed experiment. I don't want a divorce, I said. My voice broke. I love you. We can work on this. I've already made up my mind. So that's it? I don't get a say? After 24 years, you just decide it's over and that's it? Laura, I'm trying to be fair here. My lawyer is drawing up a settlement offer. You'll get the house. Some money. It'll be fine. Some money. It'll be fine. Did you ever love me? The question came out before I could stop it. He sighed. Like I was being dramatic. Of course I did. But people change. I'm not the same person I was at 22. Neither are you. I'm exactly the same person. I'm the person who worked 2 jobs to put you through law school, who raised your children, who gave up her career so you could build yours. I'm the same person who's been here every single day for 24 years. And I'm grateful for that. I am. But gratitude isn't enough to sustain a marriage. Grateful. Like I was a helpful employee. Not his wife. Not his partner. He grabbed his jacket, headed for the door. Wait. When will I see you again? My lawyer will be in touch. We'll set up mediation. Keep this civil. For the kids. David. He stopped. Didn't turn around. Is there someone else? Another pause. I'll call you tomorrow. Then he was gone. Out the door. Into his car. Driving away from 24 years like it was nothing. I stood in the kitchen. The chicken parmesan was getting cold on the stove. The table was set for 2. I'd woken up that morning married. By dinner, I was, what? Still married legally, but abandoned. Cast aside. Replaced. I didn't cry. Not yet. I was too shocked. Too numb. I sat at the kitchen table. Looked around at the house we'd built together. The photos on the walls. The kids' baby pictures. Family vacations. Christmases. Birthdays. 24 years of memories. And he'd thrown it away in a 10-minute conversation. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Hey Mom. Excited for Maya's graduation in 2 weeks. Dad said he's planning a surprise for her. Do you know what it is? Dad said. He'd been texting with Emma. Planning surprises. Acting normal. While planning to blow up our family. I didn't respond. Didn't know what to say. How do you tell your kids that their father is leaving? That the family they grew up with is over? I sat there until it got dark. Until the house was quiet except for the ticking of the clock we'd bought on our 10th anniversary. Then I went to our bedroom. The bedroom we'd shared for 24 years. And I noticed things. Half of David's clothes were gone. Not all of them. Just enough. His favorite suits. His good shoes. His toiletries from the bathroom. He'd been moving out in stages. Slowly. Carefully. So I wouldn't notice. How long had he been doing this? How many trips had he made to his secret apartment while I was at work or running errands? I opened his nightstand drawer. Empty. He'd already cleared out his personal items. I opened the closet. His expensive watches were gone. The ones I'd given him for birthdays and anniversaries over the years. He'd been erasing himself from our life, piece by piece. While I'd been planning our daughter's graduation party. That's when the tears came. Not sad tears. Angry tears. Because I suddenly understood something. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This wasn't David having a midlife crisis. This was calculated. Planned. Orchestrated. He'd been preparing for this for months. Maybe longer. Which meant he'd been lying to me for months. Sleeping in our bed. Eating dinners I cooked. Letting me believe we were fine. All while preparing to leave. I cried myself to sleep that night. Alone in our bed. In our house. In the life we'd built together that was apparently only mine now. The next day, the process server came. 9:30 in the morning. Handed me an envelope. Petition for dissolution of marriage. David Mitchell versus Laura Mitchell. Versus. Like we were enemies now. Opponents. I opened it. Read the legal language. Cold. Clinical. Reducing 24 years to a list of assets to be divided. There was a sticky note attached. In David's handwriting. Laura, I've scheduled a mediation session for next Tuesday at 3 p.m. My lawyer will send you the address. Please be reasonable about this. David, please be reasonable. Like I was the one being difficult. Like I was the problem. I called him. It went to voicemail. David, we need to talk. Really talk. Not through lawyers. Please. Call me back. He didn't call back that day. Or the next day. Or the day after that. Instead, his lawyer called. Gregory Walsh. Smooth voice. Professional. Impersonal. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm representing your husband in the dissolution of your marriage. I'd like to discuss the mediation scheduled for Tuesday. I want to talk to my husband. That's not advisable at this stage. It's better if all communication goes through counsel. I don't have counsel. I don't want counsel. I want my husband to talk to me. Mrs. Mitchell, I understand this is difficult. But you really should retain an attorney. This is a complex case with significant assets. I'll be at the mediation on Tuesday. Excellent. And Mrs. Mitchell? I'd strongly suggest you come prepared to negotiate. My client is being very generous. But that generosity has limits. He hung up. I stared at my phone. Generous. David was being generous. By divorcing me after 24 years. I went to work the next day at the firm. Morrison, Hale and Mitchell. Where David's name was still on the door. The other attorneys looked at me with pity. They knew. Of course they knew. David had told them. Morrison pulled me aside. Laura, I'm so sorry. If you need time off, I'm fine. I have work to do. Of course. But maybe it would be better if you took a leave of absence. Until things are settled. They wanted me gone. So it wouldn't be awkward. So David wouldn't have to see me. I'll think about it, I lied. I went to my desk. Started working on the monthly financial reports. The numbers were soothing. Predictable. Unlike my life. That's when I saw it. A discrepancy in one of the partner distributions. Money going out that didn't match the usual pattern. I pulled up more records. Going back 6 months. There were several unusual distributions. All to David. Amounts that seemed off. I made a note. Told myself I'd ask about it later. But something in the back of my mind was whispering. Telling me to look closer. To pay attention. I'd been a bookkeeper for 30 years. I knew what financial irregularities looked like. And this looked wrong. But I was too heartbroken to investigate. Too numb to care. I went home that afternoon. The house was empty. No David coming home at 7. No dinner to cook for 2. Just me. Alone. In a house full of ghosts. Maya called that evening. Mom. 2 weeks until graduation. I'm so excited. Is Dad there? I want to talk to both of you about the party. He's not here, honey. He's working late. Oh. Okay. Well, tell him to call me when he gets home. I will. I hung up. Stared at my phone. I had to tell the kids. Soon. Before David showed up at graduation with whoever she was. Because there was someone else. I knew it. Could feel it in my bones. The question was, how long had it been going on? And how stupid had I been not to see it? I spent the weekend alone. Cleaning the house. Organizing. Trying to find normalcy and routine. Sunday night, David texted. Not called. Texted. See you Tuesday at mediation. 3 p.m. Walsh and Associates, downtown. Try to be calm. Try to be calm. Like I was hysterical. Like I was the problem. I texted back, who is she? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Not the time for this conversation. When is the time? When you introduce her to our daughter at graduation? No response. He'd gone silent again. Monday, I went back to work. Kept my head down. Processed invoices. Paid bills. Did my job. But I kept thinking about those financial discrepancies. About the money that didn't quite add up. During lunch, when everyone was out of the office, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I pulled David's financial records. All of them. 7 years worth. Because that's how long I'd kept digital backups for. And I started looking. Really looking. By the end of the day, I'd found 12 separate discrepancies. Money going out in amounts that seemed random but were actually very carefully calculated. Money that was supposed to be going into firm operating accounts. Money that was going somewhere else. I printed everything. Made copies. Saved it all to a USB drive that I took home. That night, I went through every document I'd printed. Made notes. Highlighted irregularities. I wasn't sure what I was looking at yet. But I knew one thing. David had been moving money. Quietly. Carefully. 4 months. And I was the only one who knew how to read the records well enough to see it. I didn't sleep that night. Kept going through documents. Following money trails. Piecing together what looked like a very deliberate plan. By morning, I understood. David hadn't just been planning to divorce me. He'd been planning to hide money from me. And he'd been doing it right under my nose. Using his position as partner. Using accounts I had access to but wouldn't normally scrutinize. Because I was just the part-time bookkeeper. David's wife who helped out at the office. He'd underestimated me. Thought I wouldn't look. Wouldn't question. Wouldn't fight back. He was wrong. Tuesday afternoon, I drove to Walsh and Associates for the mediation. My hands were shaking. But I went. The office was fancy. Glass and chrome. Expensive art on the walls. The kind of place that charged $1,000 an hour. David was already there. Sitting at a conference table with Gregory Walsh. Looking confident. Comfortable. In control. He barely glanced at me when I walked in. Laura. Good. You're on time. Gregory gestured to a chair across from them. Please, sit. I sat. Folded my hands on the table. Looked at my husband of 24 years. He looked away. Let's get started, Gregory said. He pulled out a thick folder. My client has prepared a very generous settlement offer. Given the length of the marriage and the assets involved, we believe this is more than fair. He slid papers across the table to me. I picked them up. Started reading. The house. They were offering me the house. But I had to buy out David's half at current market value, which would require me to take out a mortgage I couldn't afford on my part-time salary. $300,000. A lump sum payment. No alimony. No pension rights. No retirement account distribution. David kept everything else. His 401k. His partner distributions. His investments. All I got was a house I couldn't afford to keep and $300,000. After 24 years. I looked up at David. He was studying his phone. Couldn't even look at me. This is your idea of generous? My voice was eerily calm. Gregory smiled. Professional. Patronizing. Mrs. Mitchell, considering that you only worked part-time throughout the marriage, this is actually quite generous. $300,000 is a substantial sum. I worked part-time so I could raise our 3 children and manage our household while David built his career. And that's admirable. But it doesn't entitle you to half of what my client earned through his professional work. I put him through law school. I worked 2 jobs so he could study. 26 years ago. While we appreciate that, it's not legally relevant to the current asset division. I turned to David. Is this really what you want? To give me nothing after everything I gave you? He finally looked at me. And his eyes were cold. Distant. Like I was a stranger. Laura, take the deal. It's fair. You'll be comfortable. We can both move on. Move on to what? To who? This isn't the time. When is the time, David? When you show up at Maya's graduation with your girlfriend? Gregory held up a hand. Mrs. Mitchell, personal attacks aren't productive. It's not an attack. It's a question. Is there someone else? David's jaw tightened. What I do with my personal life is no longer your concern. So yes. There is someone else. Laura, sign the papers. Stop making this difficult. Difficult? I'm difficult? You blindside me with a divorce, offer me pennies after 24 years, and I'm the one being difficult? $300,000 is not pennies. It is compared to what we have, what we built, together. Gregory checked his watch. Expensive. Rolex, probably. Mrs. Mitchell, my client has been very patient. But I need to tell you something. If we don't settle today, if this goes to litigation, it will get expensive. Very expensive. Can you afford a divorce attorney? A good one? Because my client can. And we will fight this. It was a threat. Thinly veiled but clear. Sign now or we'll bury you. I looked at the papers again. At the numbers that reduced 24 years of my life to a real estate transaction and a check. Then I looked at David. Really looked at him. And I saw something I'd missed before. Guilt. Underneath the coldness and the distance, there was guilt. Which meant he knew. He knew he was cheating me. Knew this wasn't fair. But he was doing it anyway. I need to think about this, I said. Mrs. Mitchell, this offer expires today. If you leave without signing, then it expires. I stood up, gathered the papers, started walking to the door. Laura. David's voice stopped me. Don't be stupid about this. You don't want to fight me. You'll lose. I turned back, looked at this man I'd loved for half my life. Maybe, I said. Or maybe you underestimated me. Then I walked out. Into the elevator. Into my car. And I drove straight to the firm. To my desk. To my computer. Because David was right about one thing. I didn't want to fight him. I wanted to destroy him. And I had exactly what I needed to do it. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. My mind was racing. Going over those financial records. Those discrepancies. Those careful, calculated movements of money. David had been so smart about it. Small amounts. Spread over months. Hidden in legitimate-looking transactions. Partner distributions that were slightly higher than they should be. Expense reimbursements that didn't quite match the receipts. Anyone else would have missed it. But I'd been doing this for 30 years. I knew what the numbers should look like. And these numbers were wrong. Wednesday morning, I went back to the office. Morrison pulled me aside before I even reached my desk. Laura, we need to talk. He led me into his office. Closed the door. His face was uncomfortable. Sympathetic but firm. David asked me to tell you, he thinks it would be best if you took a leave of absence. Paid, of course. Until the divorce is finalized. He wants me gone. He thinks it would be easier. For both of you. Less awkward. I'm not taking a leave. Morrison sighed. Laura, I'm not asking. David is a named partner. You're an employee. I'm sorry, but if he's uncomfortable with you being here. So I'm fired. Not fired. Leave of absence. You'll still get paid. Full salary. Benefits. But David feels that having you here creates a hostile work environment. I almost laughed. He creates a hostile work environment by divorcing me, and I'm the one who has to leave. I'm sorry. I really am. But my hands are tied. He handed me an envelope. Severance paperwork. 3 months' salary. A non-disclosure agreement about firm business. They wanted me to sign away my right to talk about anything I'd seen or done at the firm. I need to think about this, I said. Laura, please. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Sign the papers. Take the money. Move on. Everyone kept telling me to move on. Like 24 years could just be erased. Like I should quietly disappear so David could be comfortable. I'll have my lawyer look at this, I said. You have a lawyer now? I will. I walked out, went to my desk, started copying files. Everything I'd found. Everything I'd documented. 7 years of financial records. One of the junior associates saw me. Laura, what are you doing? Backing up my work. In case I need it for the transition. It wasn't a lie. Not technically. I saved everything to 3 separate USB drives. Printed hard copies of the most important documents. Put them all in my bag. Then I cleared out my desk. Personal items. Photos of the kids. A coffee mug David had given me for our 10th anniversary. I looked around the office. 15 years I'd worked here. 15 years of keeping this firm running smoothly. And they were kicking me out because my husband decided to trade me in for a newer model. I drove home. Sat at the kitchen table. Spread out all the documents. Then I started making phone calls. First call, a divorce attorney. Not just any divorce attorney. Jennifer Morrison. The shark. I'd read about her online. She specialized in high-conflict divorces. Hidden assets. Men who tried to cheat their wives. Her consultation fee was $500 for an hour. I didn't care. I made the appointment for Friday. Second call, Maya. I couldn't put this off anymore. She needed to know before graduation. Mom, I'm so glad you called. I need to finalize the restaurant reservation for after the ceremony. How many people? Maya, honey, can you come home this weekend? Before graduation? I need to talk to you about something. Is everything okay? Just come home, please. Bring your brother and sister if they can make it. Mom, you're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. But I need to tell you all something. Together. She agreed. Called Jake and Emma. They'd all come home Saturday. Which meant I had 3 days to figure out how to tell my children their father was leaving. Thursday, I spent the entire day going through documents. Making notes. Creating a timeline. David had been moving money for 18 months. Longer than I'd initially thought. Small amounts at first. 5,000 here. 10,000 there. Into accounts I couldn't quite trace. Then larger amounts. 20,000. 30,000. Hidden in expense reports and partner distributions. Total? I estimated about $400,000. Maybe more. Hidden. Stolen. From our marital assets. While he was telling me we needed to be reasonable about the divorce. Friday came. My appointment with Jennifer Morrison. Her office was nothing like Gregory Walsh's fancy glass tower. It was practical. Professional. No nonsense. Jennifer herself was in her early 50s. Short gray hair. Sharp eyes. A handshake like a vice grip. Mrs. Mitchell. Tell me everything. So I did. 24 years of marriage. 3 kids. David's sudden divorce request. The insulting settlement offer. The threat of expensive litigation. She listened without interrupting. Made notes. Asked clarifying questions. Then I pulled out the USB drives. The printed documents. The timeline I'd created. I found these discrepancies in the firm's financial records. I was the bookkeeper there for 15 years. David has been moving money. I don't know where. But it's a lot. Hundreds of thousands. Jennifer's eyes lit up. Not in a greedy way. In a hunter's way. Like I'd just shown her a blood trail leading to her prey. You documented all of this? Every transaction. 7 years worth. And you have legal access to these records? I did when I worked there. I just backed up my files before they terminated me. They terminated you? David had them put me on leave. Gave me severance and a non-disclosure agreement to sign. Did you sign it? Not yet. She smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a predator's smile. Don't sign anything. Because Mrs. Mitchell, what you've just given me is gold, pure gold. Your husband has been hiding assets. Substantial assets. During the divorce process. That's fraud. Can we prove it? With what you've given me? Absolutely. But I want to bring in someone else. A forensic accountant. Someone who can trace where that money went. Build an airtight case. How much will that cost? A lot. But here's what I propose. I take your case on a modified contingency. You pay my hourly rate, but I cap it at $50,000. Anything we recover beyond what your husband offered, I get 30% of. Deal? $50,000. I didn't have $50,000. I have about $20,000 in savings. From my bookkeeping work over the years. That's a start. I'll work with you on the rest. Because Mrs. Mitchell, your husband is trying to cheat you. And I don't let men get away with that. I signed the retainer agreement right there. Jennifer made a call. Robert? I need you. High asset divorce. Hidden accounts. The wife is a bookkeeper who documented everything. Can you come in tomorrow? She hung up. Robert Park. Best forensic accountant in the state. He'll find every penny your husband tried to hide. What do I do now? Now? You go home. You don't confront David. You don't tell anyone about this except me. And you wait. Let your husband think you're going to roll over and take his insulting offer. Let him get comfortable. Then we strike. I left her office feeling something I hadn't felt since this started. Hope. And anger. The productive kind. The kind that builds cases and wins wars. Saturday afternoon, my kids came home. All 3 of them. Emma, Jake, and Maya. Sitting in the living room where I'd raised them. Mom, what's going on? Emma asked. You sounded really upset on the phone. I looked at their faces. My children. Adults now, but still my babies. Your father and I are getting divorced. Silence. Complete, shocked silence. What? Maya's voice was small. But, you guys are fine. You're happy. I thought we were. But your dad, he's not happy. He asked for a divorce last week. Last week? Jake stood up. And you didn't tell us? I'm telling you now. I wanted to tell you all together. Does Dad know you're telling us? Emma asked. He knows. Where is he? Jake demanded. Why isn't he here? He moved out. He has an apartment downtown. Maya started crying. I don't understand. What happened? Did you guys have a fight? No fight. He just decided he didn't want to be married anymore. There's more, Emma said. She'd always been perceptive. What aren't you telling us? I hesitated. Didn't want to turn them against their father. But they deserved the truth. I think there's someone else. Someone else? Jake's face darkened. Dad's having an affair? I don't know for sure. But yes, I think so. Maya sobbed harder. Emma put an arm around her. Jake paced the room, furious. I'm going to call him, Jake said, pulling out his phone. Don't. My voice was sharp. Not yet. Let me handle this. Handle what? He's destroying our family. I know. And I'm going to fight back. But I need you 3 to trust me. Can you do that? They looked at me. Really looked at me. Saw something they hadn't seen before. Strength. Determination. Steel. Okay, Emma said finally. We trust you. What about graduation? Maya asked through tears. He's still coming, right? He promised. I don't know, honey. I don't know what his plans are. As it turned out, I didn't have to wait long to find out. Sunday evening, David called. First time he'd actually called since asking for the divorce. Laura. I need to talk to you about Maya's graduation. What about it? I'm bringing someone. I wanted to give you advance notice. My blood went cold. You're bringing her? To our daughter's graduation? Her name is Brittany. And yes. I'm not hiding anymore. The kids need to meet her eventually. This seems like a good time. A good time? You're going to show up at Maya's graduation with your girlfriend? Are you insane? I'm moving on with my life. You should too. It's been 2 weeks, David. 2 weeks since you asked for a divorce. And you're already parading your mistress around? She's not my mistress. We only started seeing each other after I decided to leave. I don't believe you. I don't care what you believe. I'm giving you a courtesy heads up. Brittany will be there. The kids can meet her. Then we'll all have a nice dinner together. You want me to have dinner with you and your girlfriend? I want everyone to be civil. For Maya's sake. He hung up before I could respond. I sat there, phone in my hand, shaking with rage. He was going to bring her to our daughter's graduation, 2 weeks after asking for a divorce. The cruelty of it was staggering. I called Jennifer immediately. He's doing what? She sounded as outraged as I felt. Bringing his girlfriend to the graduation. Wants us all to have dinner together. This is actually good for us. Good? How is this good? Because it shows his timeline. If he's comfortable introducing her now, it means they've been together longer than he's admitting. Which means the affair started during the marriage. Which gives us leverage. I don't want leverage. I want him to stop. Laura, listen to me. Let him bring her. Let him introduce her to your kids. Let him have his little dinner. And document everything. Take photos if you can. Get witnesses. Because when we get to court, I'm going to show the judge exactly what kind of man your husband is. I have to sit through dinner with them? You don't have to do anything. But if you can, if you're strong enough, it helps our case. I thought about it. Thought about watching David with another woman. Younger, probably. Prettier. Everything I wasn't anymore. I'll do it, I said. For Maya. The next 2 weeks crawled by. Jennifer and Robert Park were deep in the financials. Following money trails. Building the case. I tried to stay busy. Started looking for a new job. Updated my resume. Tried to figure out how to support myself when this was all over. The kids called David. All 3 of them. Jake yelled at him for 20 minutes. Emma cried and asked him why. Maya begged him to reconsider. He told them all the same thing. Sometimes people grow apart. This is for the best. You'll understand eventually. Cold. Distant. Like he was talking to clients instead of his children. Finally, graduation day came. Sunday, May 19th. Beautiful spring day. Sunny. Warm. Perfect. I got dressed carefully. A nice dress. Tasteful. Age appropriate. I wanted to look good. Wanted David to see what he was throwing away. The ceremony was at 11. I arrived early. Found a seat. Saved spots for Emma and Jake. Then David arrived. With her. Brittany. She was exactly what I'd expected. 28, maybe. Blonde. Thin. Wearing a dress that cost more than my car. Heels that made her legs look impossibly long. She was beautiful. Young. Everything I used to be and wasn't anymore. David had his hand on her lower back. Possessive. Proud. Like he was showing off a prize. They sat 3 rows ahead of me. He didn't even look around to see where I was. Emma grabbed my hand. Mom, I'm so sorry. It's okay, honey. I knew she'd be here. But it wasn't okay. Watching them together, David whispering in her ear, her laughing, touching his arm, it was torture. The ceremony started. Maya walked across the stage. Accepted her diploma. Smiled for the cameras. I clapped until my hands hurt. Cheered for my baby girl. David clapped too. But he was distracted. Kept looking at Brittany. Like he couldn't believe his luck. Like he'd won some kind of prize. After the ceremony, we gathered outside for photos. Maya found me first. Mom. I did it. I hugged her tight. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Then David appeared. With Brittany. Maya. Congratulations. He hugged her. Then stepped back. I want you to meet someone. This is Brittany. Brittany smiled. Perfect white teeth. It's so nice to finally meet you, Maya. Your dad talks about you all the time. Maya looked at me. Lost. Uncomfortable. She shook Brittany's hand because she was polite. Nice to meet you too. Emma and Jake appeared. They both stared at Brittany with open hostility. Kids, this is Brittany, David said, oblivious to their coldness. Hi, Emma said flatly. Jake said nothing. Just glared. An awkward silence settled over the group. Well, David said with forced cheer. Let's get some photos. Maya, let's get one with you and me and Brittany. I want one with Mom, Maya said quickly. Of course. Mom first. Then we'll do another one. We took photos. Me and Maya. Then the kids and me. Then the kids together. Then David tried again. Now one with me and Brittany and... No, Maya said. Her voice was quiet but firm. I don't want Brittany in my graduation photos. David's face darkened. Maya, don't be rude. I'm not being rude. I don't know her. This is weird. She's important to me. I want her in the photos. And I don't. It's my graduation. Brittany touched David's arm. It's okay, babe. We can do photos later. Babe. She called him babe. David looked like he wanted to argue but backed down. Fine. Let's go to dinner. I made reservations at Marcello's. Marcello's. The Italian place we'd gone to for every major family celebration for 20 years. He was taking her there. To our place. I'll meet you there, I said. I couldn't ride with them. Couldn't sit in a car watching them together. Actually, David said, I made the reservation for 6. Me, Brittany, and the kids. I thought it would be good for them to get to know her without tension. Without me. He'd planned a celebration dinner and excluded me. Maya's face crumpled. Dad, Mom has to come. It's my graduation. And she can celebrate with you another time. Tonight, I want you kids to meet Brittany properly. In a relaxed setting. This isn't relaxed, Jake said. His voice was hard. Angry. This is you replacing Mom like she never existed. Jake, don't be dramatic. Dramatic? You're introducing your girlfriend at Maya's graduation 2 weeks after asking for a divorce and I'm being dramatic? People were starting to stare. Other families gathering for photos. We'll discuss this later, David said through gritted teeth. We'll discuss it now, Jake shot back. You're not pushing Mom out. If she's not invited, I'm not going. Me neither, Emma said. Maya looked torn. Miserable. Dad, please. Just let Mom come, please. David looked at Brittany. She shrugged. It's fine with me. No. It wasn't fine. But I was trapped. If I didn't go, I'd hurt Maya. If I did go, I'd have to sit through dinner watching David with his replacement. I'll go, I said quietly. For Maya. The restaurant was torture. David made sure Brittany sat next to him. Kept touching her hand, her arm, her knee under the table. Making a statement. Look at what I have now. Look at what I chose over you. Brittany tried to make conversation. So, Maya, what are your plans after graduation? Moving to Portland. I have a job lined up at a nonprofit. That's wonderful. Nonprofits are so important. I've always wanted to do something meaningful like that. She said it like Maya's choice was adorable, quaint. Like real adults didn't work at nonprofits. What do you do? Emma asked. Her tone was polite but cold. I'm a legal assistant at Morrison, Hale and Mitchell, actually. That's how your dad and I met. Morrison, Hale and Mitchell. David's firm. My firm. How long have you worked there? I asked. My voice was steady, calm. But inside, I was screaming. About 2 years now. 2 years. David had known her for 2 years. And when did you and David start dating? Jake asked. His tone was aggressive, confrontational. Jake, David warned. No, it's okay, Brittany said with a smile. We started seeing each other about 3 months ago. After your dad decided to separate. 3 months. But he'd only asked me for a divorce 2 weeks ago. Which meant they'd been together for nearly 3 months before he told me. So you were dating while Dad was still living at home? Emma's voice was sharp. While he was still married to our mom? Emma, that's enough, David said. No, it's not enough. You cheated on Mom. Admit it. I didn't cheat. Your mother and I were already over. We just hadn't made it official. We were sleeping in the same bed, I said quietly. Everyone turned to look at me. 3 months ago, we were still sleeping in the same bed. Having dinners together. You kissed me goodbye every morning. Were we over then? David's face flushed. Laura, not here. Where, then? When do I get to ask when my marriage actually ended? Because I thought it ended 2 weeks ago. But apparently, it ended 3 months ago. Or longer. How long, David? How long have you been planning to leave me? This isn't the time or place. You made it the time and place when you brought her to our daughter's graduation. Brittany looked uncomfortable now. Maybe I should go. No, David said firmly. You're staying. Laura, if you can't be civil. Civil? My voice rose. I couldn't help it. You want me to be civil? You're sitting there with your mistress at our daughter's graduation dinner, and you want me to be civil? She's not my mistress. Then what is she? What do you call a woman you started sleeping with while you were still married to your wife? I told you, we started dating after I decided to leave. But before you told me you were leaving. Which means you were cheating. Planning your exit strategy. Getting your next relationship lined up before ending your current one. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners were watching. Whispering. David stood up. We're leaving. Brittany, let's go. Dad, sit down, Maya said. She was crying. Please. This is my graduation. Can't you guys just stop fighting for one day? David hesitated. Sat back down slowly. I'm sorry, Princess. You're right. The rest of dinner was silent, awkward. No one ate much. No one spoke. We ordered cake for Maya. Sang happy birthday in whispers. Took a few obligatory photos. Then it was over. David paid the bill. We walked outside into the parking lot. Well, David said with fake cheer. That was nice. Kids, we'll see you soon, right? Sure, Dad, Emma said flatly. He hugged each of them. Then turned to Brittany. Ready? Wait, Maya said. Can I talk to you? Alone? David nodded. They walked a few feet away. I couldn't hear what Maya was saying, but I could see her crying. See David shaking his head. See Maya's face crumple. Then she came back to us. He says he's happy. That Brittany makes him happy. That he deserves to be happy. What about Mom? Jake demanded. Doesn't she deserve to be happy? Maya just shook her head. Couldn't speak. We watched David and Brittany get into his car. A new BMW. I hadn't seen it before. He must have bought it recently. More money I didn't know about. They drove away. Brittany's hand on David's thigh. His hand covering hers. 24 years of marriage. Ended and replaced in the time it took to buy a new car. The kids took me home. All three of them came inside. Sat with me in the living room. Mom, I'm so sorry, Maya said. I didn't know he was going to bring her. It's okay, honey. Not your fault. It's not okay, Jake said. He humiliated you. Humiliated all of us. Parading his girlfriend around like you never existed. What are you going to do? Emma asked. I looked at my children. At their angry, hurt faces. At the family David had destroyed. I'm going to fight him, I said. I'm going to take him to court. And I'm going to make sure he pays for what he's done. How? Jake asked. I have a lawyer. A good one. And I have evidence. Evidence that your father has been hiding money. Lying. Cheating in more ways than one. What kind of evidence? Emma asked. The kind that's going to make him regret ever underestimating me. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. I hope you documented today. Photos? Witnesses? Because we can use all of it. I'd taken photos. The kids had taken photos. We had witnesses, the entire restaurant. David had wanted to make a statement today. Show everyone he'd moved on. Upgraded. 1. But what he'd actually done was hand me ammunition. Because now I had proof. Proof that he'd been seeing Brittany before the divorce. Proof that he'd lied about the timeline. Proof that he'd cheated. I texted Jennifer back, I have everything we need. Her response came immediately, good. Because tomorrow, we go to war. I looked at my kids. At the family David thought he could just discard. Your father thinks he's won, I said. He thinks he can just walk away from 24 years with a younger woman and a new car and no consequences. And he can't? Maya asked. I smiled. Not a happy smile. A warrior smile. No, baby. He can't. Because he made one critical mistake. What mistake? Jake asked. He forgot that I'm not just his wife. I'm not just the woman who raised his children and made his dinners. What are you? Emma asked. I'm the bookkeeper who knows where all the money is hidden. And I'm done being quiet. Monday morning, I walked into Jennifer Morrison's office carrying a folder full of photos from graduation. David and Brittany. Their hands intertwined. Her leaning into him. Him kissing her forehead. All time-stamped. All dated. All documented. Jennifer looked through them with a grim smile. This is good. Very good. He's been saying they started dating after he decided to leave. But these photos, combined with the timeline, we can prove he was having an affair during the marriage. Will that matter? For the divorce? In New York, we're technically a no-fault state. So infidelity doesn't directly impact the divorce. But it absolutely impacts the judge's perception. And judges are human. When they see a husband who cheated, who brought his mistress to his daughter's graduation 2 weeks after asking for a divorce, they're not sympathetic. She set the photos aside. But that's not why you're really here today. Robert found something. Something big. Robert Park walked in. Mid-50s. Glasses. The energy of someone who gets excited about spreadsheets. Mrs. Mitchell. Good to see you again. I've been going through the records you provided. And I have to say, your husband was very clever. But not clever enough. He opened his laptop. Pulled up a presentation. Numbers and charts and bank account information. Let's start with what we know for certain. Your husband has been systematically moving money out of the marital assets for approximately 18 months. Small amounts at first, then larger. Total estimated amount is $463,000. $463,000. Even more than I'd estimated. Where did it go? I asked. That's where it gets interesting. He created a shell company. Mitchell Consulting LLC. Registered in Delaware. Listed himself as the sole owner and operator. A consulting company? David's a lawyer, not a consultant. Exactly. It's a paper company. Exists only to hide money. He's been funneling partner distributions and expense reimbursements through this company, making it look like legitimate business income. But it's not legitimate. No. It's marital assets being hidden to avoid division in the divorce. Which is fraud. Jennifer leaned forward. Robert, tell her about the house. Robert's expression darkened. Your house. The one you and David own jointly. The one his settlement offer said you could keep if you bought out his half. What about it? He refinanced it 6 months ago. Took out a home equity line of credit for $200,000. My stomach dropped. $200,000? Why would he do that? Officially? According to the loan documents, for home improvements and renovations. We didn't do any renovations. I know. Because I checked with contractors in your area. No permits filed for your address. No major work done. So where did the money go? Robert clicked to another slide. Bank statements. Wire transfers. $100,000 went to the shell company. Another $50,000 went to, well, this is where it gets worse. He pulled up a bank statement. An account I'd never seen before. David opened a joint checking account 6 months ago. With Brittany Pierce. The room spun. He gave her $50,000? Not gave. Deposited into a joint account. Which means legally, it's hers too. It's how he's been funding their relationship. Expensive dinners. A trip to Napa Valley in March. A trip to Miami in April. March. April. David had told me he was at legal conferences. Bar association events. Work trips. He'd been on vacation with Brittany. The remaining $50,000, Robert continued, went to a down payment on a condo. In Manhattan. Purchased 2 months ago. Listed owner, Mitchell Consulting LLC. He bought a condo? A very nice one. 2-bedroom. Doorman building. Worth about $800,000. He put 50 down, financed the rest. Using money from our house. Exactly. He stole equity from your marital home to buy a love nest for him and his girlfriend. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The scope of the betrayal was overwhelming. That's not all, Robert said quietly. I also found discrepancies in the firm's financial records. Income that should have been reported but wasn't. Partner distributions that don't match the firm's actual earnings. I believe David and possibly his partners have been underreporting income to the IRS. Tax fraud, Jennifer said. On top of the marital fraud. How much are we talking about? I asked. Conservative estimate? The firm has underreported about $2 million in income over the past 5 years. David's share of that would be around $600,000. $600,000 in unreported income. While he was telling me he couldn't afford to help with household expenses. While I was working part-time and doing all the cooking and cleaning to save money. Can we prove it? I asked. Yes. Because you kept meticulous records. Every invoice. Every payment. Every distribution. The IRS is going to be very interested in this. Jennifer stood up. Paced the room. Energy radiating off her. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to amend your divorce petition. We're going to ask for an immediate restraining order preventing David from moving any more assets. We're going to demand full discovery of all his accounts, including the shell company and the condo. He'll fight it. Let him fight. We have evidence. Documents. His own transactions condemning him. And Mrs. Mitchell? We're not asking for half anymore. We're asking for 65%. Because when a spouse hides assets, the court punishes them by giving the other spouse more. What about the tax fraud? Robert and Jennifer exchanged looks. That's your nuclear option, Jennifer said. If David fights us, if he refuses to settle fairly, we report him to the IRS. His law license will be suspended pending investigation. His partnership at the firm will be terminated. He could face criminal charges. Would he go to jail? Possibly. Tax fraud is a federal crime. But more likely, he'd face massive fines, penalties, and probation. His career would be over. I thought about David. About 24 years of marriage. About the man I'd loved. And about the stranger who'd brought his mistress to our daughter's graduation. Do it, I said. File everything. The restraining order. The discovery demands. All of it. What about the IRS? Jennifer asked. Do you want us to hold that in reserve? Or go ahead and report? I hesitated. This was the line. Once I crossed it, there was no going back. David's career would be destroyed. His reputation ruined. His life shattered. But he'd shattered mine first. Hold it in reserve, I said. Give him one chance to settle fairly. If he refuses, then we report. Jennifer nodded. Fair enough. We'll file the amended petition tomorrow. David will be served by end of week. I left their office feeling strange. Powerful but also terrified. Like I'd just declared war and couldn't take it back. My phone rang as I got to my car. Emma. Mom, Maya just called me. She's really upset. Dad told her she has to choose. Between you and him. What? He said if she wants to have a relationship with him and Brittany, she can't talk badly about Brittany. And she told him that Brittany broke up our family. So he said if that's how she feels, maybe she needs space from him to sort out her feelings. He's punishing her for being upset? That's what it sounds like. She's devastated, Mom. She's been crying for an hour. Where is she? At her apartment in Portland. I'm going to drive up there this weekend. Jake's coming too. We're going to stage an intervention or something. Tell Dad he's being insane. Don't. Let me handle this. Mom, he can't do this to her. It's not fair. I know. But confronting him will make it worse. Trust me. I hung up and called Maya directly. Mom, her voice was thick with tears. Did Emma tell you? She did, baby. I'm so sorry. I don't understand. Why is he doing this? I just told him the truth. That it hurt to meet Brittany. That it felt too soon. And he got so angry. Said I was being manipulated by you. That I needed to grow up and accept his new life. Maya, listen to me. This is not your fault. Your father is. He's not himself right now. He's making bad choices. But that's on him, not you. He said he's not coming to Portland for my birthday. Said if I can't be supportive of his relationship, he doesn't want to celebrate with me. Maya's birthday was in 3 weeks. David had never missed one of our children's birthdays. Not once in 24 years. Then I'll come to Portland, I said. We'll celebrate together. Me, you, Emma, and Jake. We'll have a great time. But I want Dad there too. I want my family back. I know, sweetheart. I know. After I hung up, I sat in my car and cried. For Maya. For all 3 of my kids. For the family David was destroying. Then I dried my eyes and drove to the house. Our house. The one David had stolen from to fund his affair. I walked through every room. Really looked at it. 20 years of memories. Birthday parties. Christmases. First days of school. All of it. This was my home. My children's home. And David had treated it like an ATM to fund his midlife crisis. I went to the garage. Started looking through boxes. Old financial documents. Tax returns. Bank statements going back years. If Robert had found fraud in the last 5 years, maybe there was more. Maybe this went back further. I found a box labeled 2015 to 2017 taxes. Opened it. Started going through returns. Something caught my eye. A Schedule C form for Mitchell Consulting LLC. From 2016. The shell company wasn't new. It had existed for 9 years. I pulled out more returns. The company appeared every year. Small amounts of income reported. Nothing that would raise red flags. But enough to establish a pattern. A long-term plan. David hadn't just been planning this divorce for 18 months. He'd been planning an exit strategy for 9 years. Setting up the infrastructure. Creating the company. Establishing the accounts. All of it carefully constructed so that when the time came, he could disappear with as much money as possible. I photographed everything. Sent it all to Robert and Jennifer. Jennifer called me back within an hour. Laura. This changes everything. This isn't just fraud. This is a long-term scheme. 9 years of planning. We can prove premeditation. What does that mean? It means David has been systematically stealing from the marital assets for nearly a decade. It means when we get to court, we're not just asking for 65%. We're asking for 80%. Can we do that? When one spouse has been committing fraud for 9 years? Yes. Absolutely. The court can and will punish that behavior. What about the IRS angle? Still hold it in reserve. But Laura? At this point, I don't think David's going to settle. I think he's going to fight us. which means we're going to trial. And we're going to win. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about David. About 9 years of planning. About how blind I'd been. Had he ever really loved me? Or had I always been temporary? A stepping stone to the life he really wanted? I got up. Made tea. Sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. Started going through our email accounts. David and I had shared passwords for everything. I'd never felt the need to check his email before. But now I did. I logged into his account. Started searching. Brittany. Consulting. Divorce. Found an email from 8 months ago. To Gregory Walsh, his divorce attorney. Gregory, I'm ready to move forward with the divorce. I want to make sure we have everything in place first. The shell company is set up. Money has been moved. I've documented her part-time employment to minimize alimony claims. Let's schedule a meeting to discuss strategy. 8 months ago. Before Brittany, according to David's timeline. He'd been planning the divorce before he even met her. Or had he? I searched for earlier emails. Found one from 2 years ago. From Brittany. David, thank you for the mentorship. I've learned so much from you. I hope we can continue working closely together. Mentorship. 2 years ago. Before they were dating. I kept searching. Found more emails. Lunches. Coffee meetings. Late nights at the office. For 2 years, David and Brittany had been getting closer. Building a relationship. While he was planning his exit from our marriage. I found an email from 18 months ago. David to his brother Mark. I'm done. I've given Laura 24 years and I have nothing to show for it. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in years. Brittany makes me feel alive again. Young. Like I'm not just some boring lawyer with a boring wife and a boring life. I'm going to leave. But I need to protect my assets first. Can you help with the offshore setup? Offshore setup. Mark had helped him hide money offshore. I kept reading. Kept digging. Found a whole email thread between David and Mark about moving money. Creating accounts in the Cayman Islands. Minimizing what Laura could find. They'd been conspiring, for over a year, to rob me. I forwarded everything to Jennifer and Robert. Every email. Every piece of evidence. Then I found one more. From 6 months ago. David to Brittany. Once the divorce is final, we can finally be together openly. I'll have the condo. The money. Freedom. Just need to get through this last part. Laura's not smart enough to find the hidden accounts. She'll take whatever settlement I offer because she's too scared to fight. By Christmas, we'll be celebrating in our new home. Not smart enough. Too scared to fight. He'd underestimated me. Dismissed me. Treated me like I was stupid. That email was the one that hardened something in me. That turned hurt into rage. Rage into determination. I wasn't going to just fight David. I was going to destroy him. Wednesday morning, Jennifer called. The amended petition was filed. David will be served today. Also, I reported the offshore accounts to the IRS. I know we said we'd hold it in reserve, but after reading those emails. Laura, he needs to face consequences. I agree. There's something else. I contacted the New York State Bar Association. Filed an ethics complaint. Lawyers aren't allowed to hide assets during divorce. It's a violation of professional conduct. David could be disbarred. Good. You sound different, Jennifer said. Stronger. I found emails. Between David and Brittany. Between David and his brother. Planning all of this. Calling me stupid. Saying I was too scared to fight. Laura, I need those emails. I already sent them. Check your inbox. Silence. Then, Laura, these are incredible. This is premeditation. Conspiracy. Fraud. With his own words documenting everything. He's finished. I know. Are you ready for what comes next? Because David is going to explode when he gets served. He's going to threaten you. Try to intimidate you. Let him try. Thursday afternoon, David called. I'd been expecting it. What the hell did you do? He was screaming. Actually screaming. I'd never heard him like this. I filed an amended divorce petition. You froze my accounts. I can't access anything. My credit cards are declined. What did you do? The court issued a restraining order, preventing you from moving marital assets. You should have expected this. This is insane. You can't do this. I can. And I did. Because you've been stealing from me, David, for 9 years. Silence. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Mitchell Consulting LLC. The shell company. The offshore accounts. The $200,000 you stole from our house equity to buy a condo for your mistress. Should I go on? How did you? Laura, those are private business matters. They're fraud. Marital fraud. And I have proof. Emails. Bank statements. Tax returns. Everything. You hacked my email? We share passwords. Remember? Because we were married. Because we trusted each other. Or at least, I trusted you. Laura, listen to me. You need to drop this. Right now. Or I will bury you. I have lawyers. Resources. You have nothing. I have evidence. I have a great lawyer. And I have something you forgot about, David. I have records. 9 years of financial records from your firm. Records showing systematic tax fraud. Income hidden from the IRS. Want to guess what happens when I report that? You wouldn't dare. Try me. I already filed an ethics complaint with the Bar Association. The IRS is next. You filed a. Laura, do you know what you've done? You've destroyed my career. I could be disbarred. Good. Because you destroyed our family. Our marriage. 24 years of my life. You lied to me. Cheated on me. Stole from me. Called me stupid. So yes, David. I'm going to destroy your career. Your reputation. Everything. Just like you did to me. This is because of Brittany, isn't it? You're jealous. Bitter. Can't stand that I'm happy. This has nothing to do with Brittany. This is about you being a thief, a liar, a fraud, and me making sure you pay for it. I won't let you do this. I'll fight you. I'll. Fight me then. See you in court. I hung up. My hands were shaking. But I felt powerful. In control. For the first time since this started. My phone rang again immediately. A number I didn't recognize. Laura Mitchell? A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. Yes? This is Brittany Pierce. I think we need to talk. I almost laughed. We have nothing to talk about. Actually, we do. David is, he's very upset. And I think there's been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. You're sleeping with my husband. He stole money to fund your relationship. Those are facts. I didn't know he was still married when we started seeing each other. Yes, you did. You work at his firm. You met his children. You knew. He told me the marriage was over. That you were separated. We were sleeping in the same bed. Does that sound separated to you? Silence. Brittany, I don't blame you. Not really. David is very good at lying. Very convincing. But here's what you need to know, he's broke now. The court froze all his accounts. The IRS is investigating him. He's facing disbarment. So whatever future you thought you had with him, it's gone. You might want to rethink this relationship. He said you were vindictive, that you were trying to destroy him out of spite, and you believed him. Just like I believed him for 24 years. Good luck with that. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Jennifer called. David's lawyer just contacted me. They want to meet. Tomorrow. They're ready to discuss settlement. Already? You scared him. The ethics complaint, the IRS threat, the frozen accounts. He's panicking. Wants to settle before more damage is done. What are they offering? I don't know yet. But Laura? We're not taking less than what you deserve. Not after what he did. I want the house. Free and clear. I want half of everything. I want lifetime alimony. And I want him to admit what he did. In writing. I'll make it happen. Friday, Jennifer and I met with David and Gregory Walsh. Different conference room. Different energy. David looked terrible. Exhausted. Scared. Good. Let's get right to it, Gregory said. My client is prepared to offer revised settlement. He slid papers across the table. I read through them. The house. Mine completely. No buyout required. $700,000. Lump sum. Half of David's 401k and pension. Alimony of $5,000 per month for 10 years. It was more. Much more than his original offer. But it wasn't enough. No, I said. Gregory blinked. I'm sorry? No. Not enough. Mrs. Mitchell, this is a very generous offer. More than generous given. Given what? Given that your client committed fraud? Stole nearly $500,000? Set up shell companies and offshore accounts? Lied to the IRS? Cheated on me for years? David spoke for the first time. Laura, please. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. Here's my counteroffer. I get the house. I get $1 million. I get 70% of your 401k and pension. And I get lifetime alimony of $6,000 per month. That's insane, Gregory said. You're asking for 80% of everything. Yes. Because your client stole from me. And courts punish that behavior. You know this, Gregory. You specialize in divorce law. You know how judges react to financial fraud. We'll never agree to this. Then we'll see you in court, where I'll present 9 years of financial fraud. Emails between your client and his mistress planning to hide assets. Evidence of tax fraud. Everything. And when the judge sees it, I'll get 90%. Plus your client will face criminal charges. David's face had gone white. Laura, I can't afford this. You'll bankrupt me. You should have thought of that before you called me stupid. Before you told your brother I was too scared to fight. Before you stole from me for 9 years. I never meant. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You planned this. Carefully. Systematically. 4 years. You just didn't count on me being smart enough to figure it out. Jennifer leaned forward. My client is prepared to file additional complaints with the IRS and the SEC if this doesn't settle today. We have evidence of securities fraud in addition to the tax fraud. Your client will not only lose his law license, he'll face federal charges. Is that what you want? Gregory looked at David. David looked at the table. Can we have a moment? Gregory asked. Take all the time you need, Jennifer said. They left the room. Jennifer turned to me. You're doing great. Stay strong. I'm not backing down. Good. Because we're about to win. 20 minutes later, they came back. David wouldn't look at me. We'll agree to your terms, Gregory said quietly. With one modification. Alimony is lifetime, but it's $5,000 per month, not 6. I looked at Jennifer. She nodded slightly. Fine, I said. But I want one more thing. What? David asked. His voice was hoarse. A written apology. Admitting what you did. Acknowledging the fraud, the affair, the lies. I don't need it to be public, but I need it. In writing. Absolutely not, Gregory said. Then no deal. David put his head in his hands. Fine, fine. I'll write the apology. And one more thing, I said. You're going to apologize to Maya. In person. For threatening to skip her birthday. For making her choose. She's your daughter, David. Act like it. He looked up at me. For the first time I saw something in his eyes. Shame. Regret. Too late. Okay, he said. I'll apologize to Maya. Jennifer and Gregory spent the next 2 hours drafting the settlement agreement. Every detail. Every term. When it was done, we all signed. Just like that, it was over. The divorce was settled. I walked out of that office with everything I'd asked for. The house. The money. The security. The apology. I'd won. But as I sat in my car, I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. Relieved but sad. Because I'd spent 24 years building a life with David. And now it was gone. Not because of time or distance or growing apart, but because he'd chosen to destroy it. For money. For a younger woman. For a fantasy of a different life. And I'd had to destroy him to protect myself. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Dad just called. Said he was sorry. That he wants to take me to dinner for my birthday. Mom, what happened? I texted back, everything's going to be okay, baby. I'll explain soon. Then I drove home. To my house. My house now. Completely mine. I walked through the door. Looked around at 20 years of memories. And I started planning my next chapter. The one where I wasn't anyone's wife. Wasn't anyone's mother figure. Wasn't anyone's bookkeeper. The one where I was just Laura. Finding out who that meant. The settlement was signed on a Friday. By Monday morning, everything had changed. I woke up in my house. My house. The one David no longer had any claim to. The mortgage was in my name now. The deed transferred. Everything legally, completely mine. It should have felt like victory. And it did. But it also felt strange. Like I was living in a museum of my old life. I made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Opened my laptop to check email. 53 new messages. Most were junk, but 3 caught my attention. The first was from Jennifer. Settlement funds transferred this morning. Check your account. Also, David's written apology arrived. Forwarding now. I opened my banking app. There it was. $1 million. Sitting in my account. More money than I'd ever seen in my life. Money David had tried to hide. Money he'd stolen and then been forced to return with interest. I stared at that number for a long time. It didn't feel real. The second email was David's apology. I hesitated before opening it. Wasn't sure I wanted to read it. But I did. Laura. I don't know where to start. I've spent the past few days trying to figure out what to say and nothing feels adequate. You're right. About all of it. I stole from you. I lied to you. I planned to leave you while pretending everything was fine. I called you stupid, and I was wrong. You're not stupid. You're brilliant. You always have been. I told myself I was unhappy. That I deserved more. That you and I had grown apart and I was just being honest about it. But the truth is, I was selfish. I was a coward. I wanted a different life, and instead of talking to you about it, I destroyed the life we'd built. You sacrificed everything for me. You worked 2 jobs to put me through law school. You raised our children while I built my career. You kept my firm's books and caught my mistakes and made me look good to the partners. And I repaid you by treating you like you were disposable. Brittany is 28 years old. She makes me feel young. That's the truth. Being with her, I don't feel like a 48-year-old father of 3 with a mortgage and responsibilities. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Like anything is possible. But that's fantasy. And I destroyed reality for fantasy. I'm sorry for the shell company. For the hidden accounts. For stealing equity from our house to buy a condo. For planning all of this for years while lying to your face every single day. I'm sorry I brought Brittany to Maya's graduation. That was cruel. You didn't deserve that. Our kids didn't deserve that. I'm sorry I told Maya she had to choose. That was wrong. She's my daughter and she has every right to be angry with me. I don't expect you to forgive me. I probably don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know, what happened to our marriage is my fault, not yours. You were a good wife, a good mother, a good partner. I was the one who failed. I hope someday you can look back on the good years without too much pain. I hope you find happiness. You deserve it more than anyone I know. David. I read it 3 times. Looking for the lie. The manipulation. The angle. But there wasn't one. It was just, honest. Painfully honest. The first honest thing David had said to me in years. It didn't fix anything. Didn't undo the damage. But it was something. The 3rd email was from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line, you need to know what's happening. I opened it cautiously. Mrs. Mitchell. My name is Cara Thompson. I'm a paralegal at Morrison, Hale and Mitchell. I'm not supposed to be contacting you, but I think you should know what's going on at the firm. The State Bar Association showed up last week. They're investigating David. The IRS showed up 2 days ago. They're auditing the firm. All partner distributions for the past 10 years are being reviewed. Morrison called an emergency partners meeting. David has been suspended. They're considering terminating his partnership entirely. The other partners are furious. They're saying David's fraud could bring down the whole firm. David is blaming you. He's telling everyone you made false accusations out of spite, that you're exaggerating what he did. But I've seen the financial records. I know you were the bookkeeper here. I know what you found was real. I wanted you to know, not everyone believes David's version of events. Some of us know what really happened, and we think you were right to report him. Also, Brittany left. She quit the firm last week, moved out of David's condo. Word is she's seeing someone else now. Someone with money. I'm sorry for what you went through. You seemed like a nice person. You didn't deserve this. Cara Thompson. I read that email 4 times. Brittany left. The firm was imploding. David was suspended. The walls were closing in on him. Everything he'd built, his reputation, his career, his relationship with Brittany, it was all crumbling. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated. But mostly I just felt tired. I called Jennifer. Did you see Cara Thompson's email? I did. She forwarded it to me too. Wants to be a witness if we need her. Do we need her? No. The settlement is done. But it's good to know we have corroboration if David tries to contest it later. The email said Brittany left him. I heard. Apparently she started dating a hedge fund manager within a week of leaving David. Guess she has a type. Rich men. Exactly. And David's not rich anymore. Not after the settlement and the IRS penalties he's facing. What penalties? The IRS found the offshore accounts. They're hitting David with back taxes, penalties, and interest. Best estimate is he owes about $300,000. Plus they're looking at criminal charges for tax evasion. $300,000. On top of the $1 million he'd paid me. Plus legal fees. Plus the money frozen in his accounts. David was broke. Completely, utterly broke. What happens now? I asked. Now? You rebuild your life. And David faces the consequences of his choices. I spent the next few days in a strange limbo. The divorce was settled but not finalized. The house was mine but still full of David's things. My future was open but uncertain. Maya came home for her birthday. Emma and Jake drove in too. We had dinner. Just the four of us. No David. He'd called Maya. Apologized. Asked to take her to dinner. But she'd declined. Said she wasn't ready yet. I'm still mad at him, she said over birthday cake. I know he apologized. But I'm not ready to just pretend everything's fine. You don't have to, I said. Take all the time you need. What about you, Mom? Emma asked. Are you okay? Really okay? I'm getting there. What are you going to do? Now that the divorce is settled? I'd been thinking about that question for weeks. What was I going to do? I was 46 years old. Single. No job. But financially secure for the first time in my life. I'm going to start a business, I said. They all looked at me. What kind of business? Jake asked. Forensic bookkeeping. Helping women who are getting divorced find hidden assets. So many women get cheated because they don't know where to look. I do. I know every trick. Every hiding place. Every red flag. That's brilliant, Emma said. You'd be amazing at that. I've already registered the LLC. Mitchell Financial Investigations. I'm working on the website now. Should be up and running in a month. Mitchell? Jake raised an eyebrow. You're keeping Dad's name? It's my name too. I've been Laura Mitchell for 24 years. I'm not changing it just because he turned out to be a liar. Maya raised her glass. To Mom. Who kicked ass and is going to help other women kick ass too. We toasted. Ate cake. Laughed. It was the first time in months that I'd felt normal. Happy. Like maybe things were going to be okay. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. Mrs. Mitchell? This is Agent Sarah Chen from the IRS Criminal Investigations Division. I'd like to speak with you about David Mitchell and the allegations of tax fraud. My stomach dropped. Am I in trouble? No, ma'am. Not at all. We're investigating Mr. Mitchell and we understand you provided information about financial irregularities. We'd like to get a formal statement from you. I met with Agent Chen the next day. Downtown Federal Building. Very official. Very intimidating. She was in her 30s. Sharp. No nonsense. Reminded me of Jennifer. Tell me everything you found, she said, pulling out a recording device. Start from the beginning. So I did. The shell company. The offshore accounts. The 9 years of underreported income. The systematic fraud. I showed her my documentation. The USB drives. The printed records. The timeline. She went through everything methodically. Asked detailed questions. Made notes. This is excellent work, Mrs. Mitchell. Very thorough. How did you know to look for all of this? I was a bookkeeper for 30 years. 15 of those years at my husband's firm. I know how money moves. I know what the patterns should look like. When they didn't match, I investigated. Your husband is claiming you fabricated these records. That you created false documents to frame him in the divorce. I pulled out more evidence. Original bank statements with the firm's letterhead. Tax returns with David's signature. Documents that couldn't be fabricated. He can claim whatever he wants, I said. The evidence speaks for itself. Agent Chen smiled grimly. Yes. It does. Thank you for your cooperation, Mrs. Mitchell. You've made our case significantly stronger. What happens now? We complete our investigation. Present findings to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They decide whether to pursue criminal charges. Given the amount involved and the duration of the fraud, I'd say charges are likely. Criminal charges. David could go to prison? Possibly. More likely he'll take a plea deal. Pay restitution. Probation. But yes, prison is possible. I left that meeting feeling conflicted. Part of me wanted David to face consequences. Part of me didn't want to be responsible for sending him to prison. But I hadn't created this situation. He had. With every fraudulent transaction. Every lie. Every theft. The consequences were his own making. 3 weeks after the IRS interview, I got a call from Jennifer. The Bar Association made their decision. David's been disbarred. Effective immediately. Disbarred. He can't practice law anymore? Not in New York. He can apply for reinstatement in 7 years, but given the fraud charges, that's unlikely to succeed. His legal career is over. Over. Just like that. 25 years of work. Gone. How's he taking it? Not well, from what I hear. He's moved out of the Manhattan condo. Couldn't afford it. He's renting a studio apartment in Queens now. Working at a contract review company. Document processing. Makes about 40,000 a year. 40,000. From 300,000 to 40,000 in 6 months. What about Morrison and Hale? The firm survived. Barely. They had to pay substantial fines to the IRS. They fired 3 partners who were involved in the underreporting scheme. Rebranded as Morrison and Hale. Took David's name off the door. Everything David had built. His partnership. His reputation. His name on the door. All of it gone. And Brittany? Married the hedge fund manager. I saw the announcement in the Times. Big wedding in the Hamptons. Guess she moved on quickly. I thought about David. Alone in a studio apartment in Queens. Working a job he probably considered beneath him. Watching his former girlfriend marry someone richer. I should have felt satisfied. Vindicated. But mostly I just felt sad. Sad for what we'd been. Sad for what he'd thrown away. Sad that it had come to this. My business launched in August. Mitchell Financial Investigations. I created a website. Got a few referrals from Jennifer. Started taking clients. The work was fascinating. Every case was different. But the patterns were always the same. Men hiding money. Women who'd been kept in the dark. Assets buried in shell companies and offshore accounts. I found money for a woman whose husband claimed his business was broke. Located $200,000 in a Cayman Islands account. I uncovered a cryptocurrency portfolio worth $500,000 that a tech executive tried to hide from his wife. I traced luxury car purchases, real estate holdings, and secret retirement accounts. I was good at it. Really good. Word spread. Referrals came in. Within 6 months, I had more work than I could handle. I hired an assistant, then a second investigator. My little one-person business became a real company. I made more money in a year than I'd made in 10 years of part-time bookkeeping. And I loved it. Loved helping women fight back. Loved exposing lies and finding truth. Loved being the person I'd needed when David first asked for a divorce. The kids thrived too. Maya loved her job in Portland. Emma got engaged to her longtime boyfriend. Jake got a promotion. They saw David occasionally. Dinners every few months. Holidays sometimes. The relationships were strained but functional. He'd apologized to all of them. Multiple times. Tried to explain. They were working through it. Slowly. I saw David once, about a year after the divorce was finalized. He'd asked to meet me for coffee. Needed to discuss something about Maya's graduation loan paperwork. We met at a Starbucks near my house. He looked different. Older. Tired. The confidence and arrogance were gone. In their place was something almost like humility. "You look good," he said when I sat down. "Happy." "I am happy. Business is going well. Life is good. I heard about your company. Mitchell Financial Investigations. Clever name. Thank you. I also heard you're helping a lot of women. Finding hidden assets. Exposing fraud." He smiled sadly. "You're using what you learned from my case to help others. That's good. Really good. Is that what you wanted to talk about?" "No. I wanted to apologize again. In person. The written apology wasn't enough. David, please. Let me say this. I destroyed our marriage. I destroyed my career. I hurt our children. I lost everything that mattered. And it was all my fault. Every bit of it. You didn't make me do any of those things. I chose them." He looked down at his coffee. "I was so stupid. Throwing away 24 years for what? For Brittany, who left the moment my money ran out. For some fantasy of being young again? For a condo and a BMW and expensive dinners? David, I appreciate the apology. But I'm not sure what you want from me." "Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to hear me say it. You were right. About everything. And I was wrong. About everything." We sat in silence for a moment. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Financially? I heard you're working at a document review company." "Yeah. It's humbling. Sitting in a cubicle, reviewing contracts for $20 an hour. But it's what I've got. The IRS took everything. Alimony takes most of what's left. I'm barely scraping by. I'm sorry. Don't be. I earned this. Every bit of it. I stole from you. I lied to you. I deserve to lose everything." "What about the criminal charges? The tax evasion?" "Plea deal. 5 years probation. 200 hours community service. If I stay out of trouble, no prison time. Could have been worse." "What will you do? After probation?" "I don't know. Maybe try to get licensed in another state. Maybe move into compliance work. Maybe something completely different. I'm 50 years old, Laura. Starting over is hard. I know. I'm doing it too. But you're successful. You're thriving. Look at you. You look younger than you did when we were married. Happier. Lighter. Like a weight lifted off you. He was right. I did feel lighter. The stress of the marriage, the betrayal, the divorce, all of it had been heavy. And now it was gone. I found out who I am without you, I said. Turns out, I like her. David smiled. A real smile. Not bitter or sad. Just genuine. I'm glad. Really. You deserve to be happy. You always did. We finished our coffee. Dealt with the graduation loan paperwork. Then stood to leave. Laura? David caught my arm as I turned to go. Thank you. For what? For not destroying me completely. You could have. You had every right to. The IRS investigation, the bar complaint, all of it, you could have pushed for prison time. You could have taken everything, including my relationship with the kids. But you didn't. You let me keep my dignity. What little was left of it. I didn't do it for you, I said honestly. I did it for Maya, Emma, and Jake. They needed their father. Even a flawed one. Still. Thank you. I walked away from that Starbucks feeling, closure. Not forgiveness, exactly. But something close to peace. David had made terrible choices. Had hurt me deeply. Had destroyed our family. But he was paying for it. Every single day. In ways I couldn't have imagined when I first started this fight. And me? I was thriving. Building a business. Helping women. Living the life I'd always wanted but never had time for when I was busy building David's life. 6 months later, I got an email from Cara Thompson, the paralegal from Morrison & Hale. Mrs. Mitchell. I wanted to let you know, Morrison & Hale is closing. After the IRS fines and the reputational damage from the fraud scandal, they couldn't recover. The partners voted to dissolve the firm. I'm not writing to make you feel guilty. I'm writing because I wanted to say thank you. What you did was brave. You exposed corruption that had been going on for years. Yes, it cost people their jobs. But it also stopped something illegal from continuing. The other partners who were involved in the fraud? They're all facing their own investigations now. They're all paying penalties. Justice is being served. You didn't cause this. David and the other partners caused it with their greed and dishonesty. You just brought it to light. I hope you're doing well. I hope you found peace. Cara Thompson. I read that email and felt the last piece of guilt fall away. I hadn't destroyed David's career. He'd destroyed it himself. I hadn't ruined the firm. The partners' fraud had ruined it. I hadn't broken up my family. David's affair and lies had broken it up. All I'd done was refuse to be quiet. Refuse to accept less than I deserved. Refuse to let David walk away without consequences. That wasn't destruction. That was justice. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I got a wedding invitation. Emma was getting married. The ceremony would be in Napa Valley. All family invited. Including David. I RSVP'd yes. So did he. The wedding was beautiful. Vineyard setting. Sunset ceremony. Emma looked radiant. David and I were seated at different tables. We nodded to each other politely. That was all. During the reception, I watched him dance with Maya. Watched him laugh with Jake. Watched him hug Emma and tell her he was proud of her. He was trying. Really trying to rebuild relationships with his children. It was working, slowly. They were healing. And me? I was dancing with a man named Robert. Divorced lawyer, 53 years old. Kind. Funny. Uncomplicated. We'd been dating for 6 months. Nothing serious yet. But it was nice. Easy. No drama. No lies. Just 2 people enjoying each other's company. At one point, David caught my eye across the dance floor. He smiled. Not sadly. Just genuinely. Like he was happy to see me happy. I smiled back. Because I was happy. Truly, completely happy. For the first time in years. I had my business. My independence. My children. My self-respect. I had everything David had tried to take from me. And I'd taken back even more. Not just money or property. But my power. My voice. My worth. David had underestimated me. Called me stupid. Thought I was too scared to fight. He'd been wrong. I was brilliant. I was brave. And I'd won. Not by destroying him, though that had happened anyway, but by refusing to be destroyed myself. 3 years after the divorce. I stood in front of a conference room full of women. 23 of them. All going through divorces. All suspecting their husbands were hiding money. all scared and angry and determined. This was my fourth workshop this year. Finding hidden assets, a guide for women in divorce. I'd started teaching them 6 months ago. Free workshops. My way of giving back. The most common mistake women make, I said, pulling up a slide, is assuming their husband would never lie to them about money. That's what I thought too. I was married for 24 years. I trusted my husband completely. And he stole from me for 9 of those years. The women leaned forward. They wanted to hear this. Needed to hear this. But here's what I learned: trust is beautiful in a marriage. But verification is smart in a divorce. You need to verify everything. Every account. Every asset. Every claim your spouse makes about money. I walked them through it. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Cryptocurrency wallets. Real estate purchases. Luxury items bought and hidden. All the tricks I'd learned from David's case and from 3 years of investigating. After the workshop, a woman in her 50s approached me. Carol. She'd been crying during the presentation. Mrs. Mitchell, I think my husband is doing exactly what yours did. He's a dentist. Makes good money. But he's claiming his practice is barely profitable. Says we can't afford for me to keep the house. Do you have access to his financial records? Some. I used to do the books for his practice. Before he hired a new office manager. Then you know what the revenue should look like. Pull those old records. Compare them to what he's claiming now. I guarantee you'll find discrepancies. I gave her my business card. Call my office Monday. We'll set up a consultation. She hugged me. Held on tight. Thank you. I thought I was crazy. Thought I was imagining things. You're not crazy. You're smart. And you're going to fight back. This was why I'd started the business. For women like Carol. Women like me. Women who'd been told they were stupid, paranoid, vindictive. Women who were actually just paying attention. Mitchell Financial Investigations had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. I now employed 6 investigators. We had an office in a nice building downtown. We handled 50 to 60 cases a year. Success rate, 93%. 93% of the time, we found hidden money. Every single case proved the wife's instincts were right. The business made about $800,000 a year in revenue. My personal income was around $350,000 after expenses and salaries. More than David had ever made, even at his peak. I'd also started getting calls from lawyers across the state. They wanted to refer clients. Wanted me to testify as an expert witness in court. Wanted me to train their associates on finding hidden assets. I'd become known. Respected. The woman who'd exposed her own husband's fraud and turned it into a crusade for other women. Magazine articles had been written about me. I'd been interviewed on local news. A producer from a national morning show had reached out about a segment on financial abuse and divorce. I was becoming famous. In a very specific, niche way. But famous nonetheless. My personal life had evolved too. Robert and I were still together. 2.5 years now. He'd met the kids. They liked him. He was patient, kind, nothing like David. We'd talked about moving in together. Maybe getting married eventually. But there was no rush. We were both divorced. Both wary. Both enjoying taking things slow. He understood my work. Understood why it mattered so much. Sometimes he'd come to my workshops and sit in the back, watching me teach. Proud of what I'd built. You're really good at this, he said after one workshop. Not just the investigating. The teaching. The advocacy. You found your calling. Maybe I had. Maybe this was who I'd always been meant to be. Not David's wife. Not just someone's mother. But Laura Mitchell. Forensic accountant. Women's advocate. Fighter. The kids were thriving. Emma had a baby now. My first grandchild. A little girl named Sophie. I'd flown out to San Francisco for the birth. Held that tiny human and felt my heart expand in ways I didn't know were possible. Jake had gotten engaged. Planning a wedding for next summer. His fiancée, Andrea, was wonderful. Smart. Strong. Treated Jake as an equal partner. Maya had been promoted at her nonprofit. She was managing a team now. Making real change in her community. She'd also started dating someone. A teacher. Kind. Stable. Nothing flashy. All 3 of my children were building healthy, honest relationships. They'd learned from watching their parents' marriage implode. Learned what not to do. What red flags to watch for. What real partnership should look like. They still saw David. Relationships had improved. He'd worked hard at therapy, at acknowledging his mistakes, at being present in their lives in whatever capacity they'd allow. He'd become a better father through losing everything. Strange how that worked. As for David himself, I heard updates through the kids. He'd moved to New Jersey, working as a compliance officer at a mid-size company, making $70,000 a year now. Better than the document review job, but still a fraction of what he'd made as a partner. He lived alone. Dated occasionally. Nothing serious. The kids said he seemed resigned. Not unhappy, exactly. But not happy either. Just existing. He paid his alimony on time every month, $5,000. Had never missed a payment. Never complained. It was automatic withdrawal from his account. That money, combined with my business income, meant I was financially secure in ways I'd never been. I'd paid off the house completely. Had a substantial retirement account. Had savings and investments. At 49 years old, I was wealthier than David had been at his peak. And I'd earned every penny myself. One Saturday morning, I was at the farmer's market when I ran into Constance Morrison, David's former mother-in-law from his brief marriage to the idea of being part of the Ashworth-Morrison dynasty. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. Started to turn away. "Constance," I said. "Hello." She turned back reluctantly. "Laura. How are you?" "I'm well. Very well. You?" "Fine, thank you." She paused. "I heard about your business. Quite successful, from what I understand." "It is. I'm helping a lot of women." "Yes. I imagine you are." Another pause. "I owe you an apology." That surprised me. "For what?" "I misjudged you. When David brought Brittany around, when he told us you were difficult, unreasonable. I believed him. I thought you were the problem. I was wrong. Thank you for saying that. Brittany was not what we thought. She married Preston, the hedge fund manager, but that ended quickly too. Turns out she has a pattern. She's currently on husband number 3. All of them wealthy. All of them older. I heard. David was a fool. William and I have said so many times. You were a good wife. You didn't deserve what he did." It was strange hearing this from Constance. The woman who'd dismissed my cancer as an unwellness. Who'd looked down on me for not being wealthy. But people change. Perspectives shift. Maybe she'd learned something too. "I appreciate you saying that," I said. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you're doing well. You deserve it." We parted ways cordially. Not friends. But not enemies either. Later that day, I got a call from Jennifer Morrison. We'd stayed in touch. She'd become not just my lawyer but a friend. "Laura, I have news. Remember Patricia Winters? David's therapist? The one who encouraged him to cut you off using all that toxic parent language?" "Yes." "What about her?" "She's been reported to the licensing board. Multiple complaints from former clients. Turns out she has a pattern of encouraging wealthy clients to cut off family members who aren't wealthy enough to fit their image. She's facing ethics violations." "Good. She did real damage to a lot of families. Including yours." "But Laura? Your family healed. Despite her. Despite David. You all healed." She was right. We had healed. Not perfectly. There were still scars. Still complicated feelings. But we'd survived. Thrived, even. "I also called because I want to propose something," Jennifer continued. "Co-authoring a book. Your story plus legal expertise. The Hidden Assets Handbook, How to Protect Yourself in Divorce. I have a publisher interested. A book. My story. Our combined expertise. Helping women on a national scale instead of just locally." "I'm in," I said immediately. We spent the next 8 months writing. I told my story. Jennifer provided legal framework. We interviewed other women. Shared case studies. Created a comprehensive guide. The Hidden Assets Handbook was published the following spring. It became a bestseller within 3 weeks. Suddenly I was on book tours. Doing podcast interviews. Speaking at conferences. The Today Show segment finally happened. 5 minutes on national television talking about financial abuse and divorce. My business exploded. I had to hire more investigators. Open a second office. Turn away cases because we couldn't handle the volume. I also started getting speaking requests. Law schools wanted me to lecture. Financial planning conferences wanted me to present. Women's organizations wanted me to keynote. I became an author. A speaker. An advocate. A voice for women who'd been silenced. At 50 years old, I had a career I'd never imagined. A purpose that filled me in ways being a wife and mother never had. I loved being a mother. Loved my children desperately. But this was mine. My identity. My achievement. My legacy. One evening, I was home working on a case file when Maya FaceTimed me. Mom, guess what? What, honey? I'm engaged. Thomas proposed. I screamed. Actually screamed. Made Maya laugh. That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. And Mom? I want to ask you something. Would you officiate the wedding? I want you to be the one who marries us. Me? Honey, I'm not ordained. You can get ordained online. Takes like 5 minutes. Please, Mom? You're the person who taught me what real strength looks like. What fighting for yourself looks like. I want you to be the one who stands up there and talks about love and partnership and commitment. I cried. Happy tears. Proud tears. Grateful tears. Of course I'll officiate your wedding. 6 months later, I stood on a beach in Oregon. Maya and Thomas stood before me. Friends and family gathered around. Marriage, I said, is a partnership. Not a hierarchy. Not one person sacrificing everything while the other takes. But two people building something together. Equally. Honestly. With open hands and open hearts. I looked at Maya. My baby girl. All grown up. Strong and sure and about to marry a man who treated her as an equal. Maya, you've watched me rebuild my life from scratch. You've seen me fight. You've seen me fall and get back up. And the most important thing I want you to know is this. Never make yourself small for someone else's comfort. Never dim your light so they can shine brighter. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It celebrates your growth. Thomas nodded. Squeezed Maya's hand. Thomas, you're marrying an incredible woman. She's strong and brave and won't put up with any nonsense. Which means you need to show up. Every day. Be honest. Be present. Be her partner, not her manager or her dependent. Can you do that? I can, he said. I will. I pronounced them married. They kissed. Everyone cheered. Later, at the reception, David approached me. He'd been invited. Had walked Maya down the aisle. But had kept his distance from me otherwise. That was a beautiful ceremony, he said. What you said about partnership, about not shrinking yourself, that was powerful. Thank you. I never let you grow, did I? I kept you in a box labeled wife and mother and never thought about who you wanted to be beyond that. No. You didn't. I'm sorry. I know I've said it before. But watching you now, seeing who you've become. I'm sorry I wasn't the partner you deserved. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He was 53 now. Gray at the temples. Tired around the eyes. Still handsome but diminished somehow. Smaller than I remembered. I forgive you, I said. He looked shocked. You do? Yes. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. And forgiveness is part of that. You made terrible choices. You hurt me deeply. But you're paying for it. You'll pay for it for the rest of your life. And I don't need to hold on to anger anymore. Thank you, he whispered. But David? Don't mistake forgiveness for reconciliation. I forgive you. But we're not friends. We're not going back to anything. We're just two people who share children and are civil for their sake. I understand. Robert appeared at my side. Put a protective hand on my lower back. Everything okay here? He asked. Everything's fine, I said. David was just leaving. David nodded. Shook Robert's hand. Walked away. Robert looked down at me. You okay? I'm perfect. And I was. Perfectly, completely okay. That night, lying in bed in the beach house we'd rented, Robert asked, do you ever regret it? Fighting David so hard? Destroying his career? I didn't destroy his career. He did that himself with fraud and theft. I just refused to be silent about it. Fair point. And no. I don't regret it. If I'd taken his first settlement offer, $300,000 and the house I couldn't afford, I'd be broke right now. Working some minimum wage job. Struggling to survive. Instead, I fought back. And I won. Not just money. But my self-respect. My voice. My power. You're amazing. You know that? I'm a woman who refused to be a victim. There are millions of us. Still. You turned your pain into purpose. Your trauma into triumph. That's rare. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was just what you did when you decided you'd had enough. When you chose yourself instead of choosing to protect someone who'd hurt you. 2 years later, 5 years after the divorce, I was keynoting a national women's conference. 3,000 women in the audience. All there to hear stories of resilience and empowerment. I told my story. The whole story. 24 years of marriage. The sudden divorce. The hidden assets. The 9 years of fraud. The fight to get what I deserved. The moment that changed everything, I said, was when I stopped believing what David told me about myself. He called me stupid, said I was too scared to fight, told me I'd lose if I tried. But I wasn't stupid. I was brilliant. I'd been brilliant all along, I just hadn't had a chance to show it because I was too busy making his life work. And I wasn't scared. I was strategic. There's a difference. So to every woman here who's been called hysterical, vindictive, gold-digging, manipulative, or crazy for demanding what you deserve, hear me, you are none of those things. You're smart. You're strong. You're done accepting crumbs when you built the whole damn cake. The crowd erupted. Standing ovation. Women crying, cheering, shouting affirmation. After my speech, women lined up for hours. Wanted to tell me their stories. Ask for advice. Thank me for giving them courage to fight. One woman, probably 65, gripped my hands tight. I'd been divorced 30 years. I took a terrible settlement because I was scared. Because he threatened me. Because I believed I didn't deserve better. Your story makes me realize I could have fought. Should have fought. It's not too late, I said. You can still be an advocate for other women. You can still share your story as a cautionary tale. You can still matter. She cried and hugged me. That evening, back in my hotel room, I FaceTimed with Sophie, my granddaughter, now 3 years old, obsessed with dinosaurs and questions. Grandma, why do you travel so much? Because I help people, sweetie. I help women who are scared. I show them how to be brave. Like a superhero? Kind of like that. Cool. I want to be a superhero too. I smiled. You can be anything you want, Sophie. That's what I want you to remember. You can be anything. After we hung up, I opened my laptop. Checked my business accounts. Mitchell Financial Investigations had done $1.2 million in revenue last year. We'd helped 87 women find hidden assets totaling $16 million. $16 million that husbands tried to hide. That we uncovered. That women got to keep and use to rebuild their lives. I'd built this. From nothing. From pain. From that first moment when I'd decided I was done being dismissed. My phone buzzed. Email from Jennifer. Laura, UCLA Law wants you to teach a semester course on financial forensics in family law. Interested? Teaching. At a law school. Me. The woman who'd only worked part-time. Who David's lawyer called not entitled to anything. I wrote back immediately, yes. Absolutely yes. 6 months later, I stood in front of a classroom of law students. Taught them everything I'd learned. How to spot hidden assets. How to protect vulnerable clients. How to fight dirty when necessary because the other side wasn't playing fair. The law favors the prepared, I told them. And it punishes the deceitful. Your job as attorneys is to be more prepared than the opposition. To know your client's case better than they know it themselves. To anticipate every trick, every hiding place, every lie. One student raised her hand. Professor Mitchell, do you think your ex-husband regrets what he did? I considered that. I think he regrets getting caught. I think he regrets losing his career and his money. Whether he regrets hurting me, I don't know. I don't think about it anymore. But you won, right? In the end? I won. Completely. Not just money. I won my life back. My identity. My future. That's the real victory. That spring, Emma gave birth to her second child. A boy this time. Named him Robert, after my boyfriend. We wanted to name him after someone who shows up, Emma said, holding the baby. Who's consistent? Who treats the people they love with respect? Uncle Robert is that person. I cried hearing that. Because my children had learned. They'd taken the wreckage of their parents' marriage and turned it into wisdom about what real love looked like. Maya and Thomas bought a house. Jake and Andrea got married in a beautiful ceremony. All 3 of my children were building lives based on partnership, honesty, and mutual respect. They'd broken the cycle. Learned from our mistakes. Chosen better. That was my real legacy. Not the business or the book or the speaking engagements. But 3 humans who knew their worth and wouldn't settle for less. 7 years after the divorce, I got a letter. Handwritten. From David. Laura. I don't expect you to respond to this. I just needed to write it. I'm doing better. Therapy helped. I have a good job now, VP of compliance at a healthcare company. Making $140,000. Nothing like I made before, but enough to live on after alimony. I'm dating someone. Her name is Patricia. She's 52. A teacher. Divorced with 2 grown kids. She's kind. Patient. Nothing like the women I chased before. She knows my whole story. What I did to you. How I lost everything. She still wanted to date me anyway. Said everyone deserves a second chance if they've truly changed. I think I have changed. I'm not the man who stole from you. Who lied to you. Who called you stupid. I'm ashamed of that man. I barely recognize him now. I'm writing because I want you to know, you were right. About everything. I was stupid. Selfish. Cruel. I threw away the best thing in my life because I was chasing some fantasy that didn't exist. You were always the smartest person in our marriage. I just couldn't see it because admitting that would have meant admitting I wasn't the star. That I was the supporting character in your story, not the other way around. I'm glad you found success. I'm glad you're happy. I'm glad you took everything from me because I deserved to lose it. I needed to lose it to finally understand what I'd thrown away. I don't want you back. I know that's not possible. I just wanted you to know that I see you now. Really see you. The brilliant, capable, extraordinary woman you always were. I'm sorry I tried to make you small. You were never small. You were magnificent. You still are. With respect and genuine remorse. David. I read that letter 3 times. Then folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. It didn't change anything. Didn't undo the past. But it was acknowledgement. Recognition. The thing I'd wanted all along, to be seen. I showed the letter to Robert that evening. How do you feel about it? He asked. Peaceful. Like the story is finally over. He's moved on. I've moved on. We're both different people now. Are you glad you fought him? Every single day. That fight taught me who I am. What I'm capable of. It broke me open and showed me I was stronger than I'd ever known. You scare me sometimes, Robert said with a smile. In the best way. Good. You should be a little scared. Keeps you honest. He laughed and kissed me. I love you, Laura Mitchell. Fierce warrior. Destroyer of lying husbands. Protector of women. I love you too. We'd been together 5 years now. Talked about marriage sometimes. But there was no rush. We were happy. Solid. Built on honesty and respect and equality. Everything my marriage to David wasn't. On the 8-year anniversary of David asking for a divorce, I did something symbolic. I removed my wedding rings from the safe where I'd kept them and took them to a jeweler. I want these melted down and remade into something new, I told him. What would you like? A phoenix. Rising from ashes. For a pendant. He smiled. I can do that. 2 weeks later, I picked up the pendant. My old rings, symbols of a marriage that died, transformed into a phoenix. Beautiful. Powerful. Reborn. I wore it to my next speaking engagement. Touched it when I needed strength. A reminder of where I'd been and who I'd become. At 52 years old, I had everything I'd ever wanted. A career I loved. Financial security. Healthy relationships with my children. A partner who valued me. Friends who celebrated me. A legacy of helping other women find their strength. I'd lost a husband who didn't deserve me and gained myself. That was the trade. And it was worth it. Every painful, difficult, terrifying moment was worth it. Because I'd learned the most important lesson: you teach people how to treat you. And when they treat you badly, you have 2 choices. Accept it or fight back. I fought back. And I won. Not just money or property or vindication. I won my life. My voice. My power. My future. David had tried to erase me. Make me small. Disposable. Forgettable. Instead, I became unforgettable. A force. A name women spoke with respect and men spoke with caution. I became the woman who refused to disappear. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.